On this edition of the Wildlife Docs, journey to the Pearl of Africa, Uganda.
We have mountain gorillas, we've got climbing lions. You want to see real elephants, you come to Uganda.
Join the Wildlife Docs as they team up with the Uganda Conservation Foundation to help save the endangered Rothschild's giraffe.
There was a rash on their neck, so we were very concerned that this might be a considerable threat.
Witness the skill and speed of park rangers and how they safely handle these wild giants.
Taking a slow approach can actually be more dangerous.
See the action that goes into anti-poaching patrols, tracking, conservation, and snare removal.
All these really important things that help the wildlife here in Uganda.
And later,
We've got some young bull elephants, to be a little bit careful.
I'm Rachel Rienstra, taking you on an animal adventure with the Wildlife Docs. Busch Gardens Conservation Fund supports organizations throughout the world, ranging from grassroots projects to the World Wildlife Fund. The funds are given to people with a passion for protecting animals, and sometimes, in extraordinary circumstances, they call the Wildlife Docs. Wildlife. It's one of the world's most precious resources, but a recent report announced that in the past 40 years, the Earth has lost half of its wildlife. From elephants in Central Africa, where poaching rates now exceed birth rates, to sea turtles in Costa Rica, whose numbers decreased by more than 80%, to Ghana's Mole National Park, where the African lion population has declined over 90%. It's a sad story, but intense conservation efforts can turn declines around. Money is important, but so is hands-on experience with wild animals.
Besides funding, the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Conservation Fund has helped with technical advice, talking about different projects, different things actually on the ground, and about the animals themselves.
Whether it's saving orangutans in Indonesia, cotton-top tamarin conservation in Colombia, or saving the wild cheetah in Africa, one of the main goals is to restore the wildlife population by sharing vital information.
Whether we're at a national park in Africa or at Busch Gardens in Tampa, we are working on animal behavior, whether it's a behavior when they're not feeling well, whether it's anything that we have to do to look at the animals themselves, and then we can apply things that we learn, whether it's how they raise their babies, how they interact with the herd, and then look for patterns themselves that we can help to adjust, especially with the growth in population here. We can share what we learn in a controlled environment at Busch Gardens Tampa with the team out here and figure out how they can make a bigger impact with protecting the species here.
The SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Conservation Fund focuses on 4 main areas: animal rescue and rehabilitation, conservation education, habitat protection, and species research. It's rare to find one project that exemplifies all 4 areas of focus, but that is the case with the Uganda Conservation Foundation.
The SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Conservation Fund has supported the Uganda Conservation Foundation since 2003. The Uganda Conservation Foundation is supporting the Uganda Wildlife Authority in anti-poaching patrols, in tracking, in snare removal, all these really important things that help the wildlife here in Uganda, and it's something that we feel very important about being able to support ourselves.
Rob Yorty and Dr. Pete have been working with the Uganda Conservation Foundation on a project to help wild giraffe. The final phase requires them to travel all the way to Africa. It's a 22-hour journey from Tampa to the center of Africa for Rob and Dr. Pete. The final leg is a small twin-engine plane that soars above the impressive mountains and fertile valleys of their destination, Uganda. Uganda is a landlocked country located in the eastern part of Central Africa, bordered by Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan.
Well, Uganda is blessed with plentiful resources. It's got water everywhere. Everything grows. Even if you're the worst farmer, something will grow. And in terms of wildlife, that means that you can always have a lot of animals per square kilometre.
Michael Keegwin is the founder of the Uganda Conservation Foundation and works hard with park rangers to make sure the animals in Uganda are cared for.
I started working in Uganda in 1997. We've run dozens and dozens of projects, all of which have helped the Ugandan Wildlife Authority to be as successful as they are today.
The Uganda Wildlife Authority acts pretty much the same way as the U.S. Park Service. They are in charge of the 10 different national parks in their country. The largest is in the central part of the country, Murchison Falls National Park. The park is home to the endangered Rothschild's giraffe. Considered a subspecies, it is estimated that there are only about 1,000 Rothschild's giraffe left in the wild. A little more than 800 of those live here in the Murchison Falls National Park. But a small group of them have developed a mysterious skin lesion.
There was a rash on their neck and their front. We wondered what it was, so we were very concerned that this might be a considerable threat.
They would ulcerate and then scab over and vary from being relatively minor, relatively small lesions, all the way up to being very large and very severe.
Worried that this could have a terrible effect on the population, samples were taken.
They took some samples of tissue and sent it to the United States for analysis, where they discovered it was caused by a parasitic worm called a nematode.
Once they discovered what was causing the lesions, a plan was put into place to find 2 male and 2 female Rothschild's giraffe, safely immobilize them, administer an anti-parasitic medication, and then check on the progress every month. If the treatment works, then they'll return and get the entire herd free of the infection. Coming up, Mike, Rob, and Dr. Pete venture into Murchison Falls National Park and find they have to make nice with this big guy as they pass through his neighborhood.
We've got some young bull elephants, to be a little bit careful.
And keep up with the rangers as they try to help this wild giraffe across the open savanna.
Big old space, isn't it?
That's later, when the Wildlife Docs continues. The Wildlife Docs have traveled to Murchison Falls National Park in Uganda on an emergency mission to try and cure skin lesions caused by a parasite on the necks of endangered Rothschild's giraffe.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much.
Rob and Dr. Pete meet up with the park rangers at their base camp to pack up their supplies and head out into the bush. The rangers are led by the park's senior veterinarian, Dr. Eric.
So mostly I got the basic stuff with Eric. I got gloves and syringes and needles. And I got about 500 mils of ivermectin. Then we got a couple of long-acting antibiotics. Then I also brought some flunixin with as well.
So let's go down. And I prefer open area, flat. Rather. I know we shall see some.
Okay.
Today, they're hoping to find 2 male and 2 female giraffe that have large lesions. Once they find them, Dr. Pete and Dr. Eric will give them medication that they hope will help eliminate the parasite.
Should we go ahead and check those ones?
So you're looking at taller ones in the back.
The biggest challenge will be going into the wild and finding these specific giraffe. Murchison Falls National Park covers an area of more than 1,000 square miles.
Big old space, isn't it?
As they search, the team pass African Cape buffalo, cob, warthogs, and then some elephants let them know whose park this really is.
Interrupt, you've got some young bull elephants, to be a little bit careful.
A simple reminder that these are wild animals.
When we're actually sedating a giraffe in the wild, it's much different than what we do at Busch Gardens Tampa.
First, the animal is sedated. Then, in teams of 2, the rangers catch up to the giraffe and wrap a loose rope around the base of its chest to gently bring the animal safely to the ground. The Uganda Wildlife Authority has determined this roping method to be the safest way to subdue the animal to perform this type of life-saving procedure.
So when we're working at Busch Gardens Tampa, we have the luxury of being able to take a procedure relatively slow. And here in the field, where there are no boundaries, taking a slow approach can actually be more dangerous.
Giraffes may look like gentle giants, But they can be dangerous because of their strong legs. That's why it's so important the entire team is trained to work with animals in the wild. Dr. Pete, Rob, and the rest of the rangers surround the giraffe and comfort it.
Then you secure a mask over the animal's face so it can't see. And then the rest of the team is holding the animal down, making sure it's safe.
Dr. Pete gives the giraffe an anti-parasitic that will hopefully cure the skin problem.
What we were doing is simply measuring the spots on the animal, giving it the treatment and waking it back up. We let the animal back up, everybody backs away. The animal's up safely and wanders off and goes right back to the herd. So this is a very, very quick process.
5 minutes ago, we were just starting, and it's now walking back into its family. That's perfect.
The first procedure goes perfectly. Within minutes, the giraffe is back with his herd.
Well done, guys. Well done, vets. Number one done.
While most subspecies of giraffe are around 14 feet tall, Rothschild's giraffe can be as tall as 20 feet, making them the tallest of all giraffe. Where other species, like the reticulated giraffe or the Maasai giraffe, have brightly colored, jagged patches on their bodies down to their hooves and pure white backgrounds, Rothschild's giraffe have pale orange-brown patches that are rounded. Their connecting color between the patches is cream-colored instead of white, and they have no marking on their lower legs, making it look like they are wearing long white stockings. So while they definitely stand out, finding the specific ones for the treatment proves to be difficult.
There's a couple of smaller ones ahead of us.
Yep.
So now when we find them, we're going to find all of them.
Spot on this one right here. To your right.
Yep, that would be a good one.
Coming up, the team runs into an intimidating obstacle on their way to more giraffe.
See the land? Yeah. Go round, go round, go round.
And the team has to use all of its skill to gently round up another galloping giraffe.
Run, 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 round, run, 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 round, run, round.
That's next when the Wildlife Docs continues. Dr. Pete and Rob have journeyed from their home base at Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida, all the way to the center of Africa, the country of Uganda. It's an emergency mission to help the Rothschild's giraffe, one of the most endangered giraffe subspecies, with only about 1,000 mature members in the wild. The team has found the final giraffe they were looking for. But nestled in a nearby den is a female lion and her cubs.
See the land? Yeah.
I just see the female.
See? Go round, go round, go round.
The rangers decide to steer clear of her and move past her territory. This lion is guarding her cubs, which makes her even more dangerous. The team spots the fourth and final giraffe. This one is perfect for receiving the treatment.
Run, 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 round, run, 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 round, run, round.
When you're working on an animal like a giraffe, you always need to be respectful of their size and power. Since we're only doing a light sedation for a very quick procedure, they're not really aware of what's going on, but they're also not immobile, so they can still kick with those feet.
No. This way.
So they can kick very hard, so you need to give a respectful distance around the feet to make sure that everything is safe.
You come. Be careful of the leg.
The treatment itself lasts only 2 or 3 minutes, and then we wake the animal back up and it's back on its feet. And then walking back off to rejoin the herd, it's that quick of a procedure. Nicely done.
Well done, team. Beautifully done.
Rothschild's giraffe are so rare that they only live in 2 places on the planet, Uganda and Kenya. The ones here are limited to where they can go by the park's boundaries and human encroachment.
Endangered animals can't just roam free across to all of Africa anymore. Being able to combat new diseases and to know what you're dealing with is a very critical skill to have. You need to figure out how it's spread and move animals that might be sick.
Luckily, Murchison Falls National Park is the largest park in all of Uganda. It's divided by the Victoria Nile River, which is squeezed into a narrow 20-foot opening, creating the awesome power of the Murchison Falls. It's home to 76 species of mammals, some dangerous reptiles, and 451 different species of birds. Over 60,000 people visit the park every year, making it the top safari destination in Uganda.
Murchison is bisected by the River Nile. 2/3 of the park is below the Nile and 1/3 is above. And all of the tourism is above. There's a lot of numbers of animals in the south.
The southern area of the park is virtually unexplored. No one knows exactly which animals are there or the numbers, but that's just one of the great things about the diversity of Uganda's wildlife.
We have mountain gorillas, we've got climbing lions. You want to see real elephants, you come to Uganda.
Uganda is just one of a handful of countries where you can see what is called the Big Five: lion, rhino, leopard, buffalo, and the elephant. Coming up, when will Dr. Pete find out if the medicine has done the trick? That's next when the Wildlife Docs continues. For 4 days, the Wildlife Docs have teamed up with the park rangers from the Uganda Wildlife Authority and volunteers from the Uganda Conservation Foundation to track endangered Rothschild's giraffe.
So let's go down, and if I open area, I know we shall see some.
Some of the giraffe have skin lesions. The fear is that they could spread throughout the entire population, which could be devastating. Dr. Pete has brought an anti-parasitic to see if they can treat this condition. The team has found and safely treated and tagged a total of 4 giraffe, 2 males and 2 females, exactly the number of giraffe they had hoped for to test this new medication.
What we did was administer an anti-parasitic drug called ivermectin that will clear up these lesions by first killing the parasitic worm, and that will allow the skin to naturally heal in and close those lesions.
Now the team heads back to the ranger station after a job well done.
I expect it will take anywhere from 2 months, maybe even 4 months, for those larger lesions to close.
It's now a waiting game. When Dr. Pete was administering the drugs, he also took measurements of each lesion. In the months to come, Dr. Eric and the park rangers will be able to track each giraffe because they applied an ear tag. Once they find the specific giraffe, they'll take new measurements. The goal is that the sores will shrink and hopefully disappear. The procedures were safely completed on all 4 giraffe. It was quick, and within minutes, each giraffe was awake, standing up, and back with their herd.
It really was a very, very exciting process. It really was done very safely, and the animals all looked great.
The Rothschild's giraffe is an endangered subspecies of giraffe. About 1,000 are living in the wild, and about 80% of them live here in Murchison Falls National Park in Uganda. This mission was a success for Dr. Pete and Rob. A job well done with the help of the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Conservation Fund.
He's gonna have a good story to tell.
Closed captioning and other promotional consideration provided by
Dr. Pete and Rob's mission to help the endangered Rothschild's giraffe in Uganda's Murchison Falls National Park could not have gone better. Led by the Uganda Conservation Foundation, the goal was to select 4 of the affected giraffe, then, with the help of the rangers, administer medication to help heal the skin lesions. Right now, everything is looking good. We'd like to thank the dedicated men and women of the Uganda Wildlife Authority, the veterinarians and the rangers, as well as the amazing volunteers of the Uganda Conservation Foundation for their passion and dedication to the wild animals of Africa. I'm Rachel Rienstra. Join us next week for another animal adventure with the Wildlife Docs.